Hi, folks. Chocolate Yoddah here, spelled Yoddah, because film studios are litigious. And today I've been thinking about this whole idea of making America great again. Grammatically, that means that America once was great and it stopped being great, and so now you're trying to make it great again. So, the obvious question is, what's so great about America? Or maybe another question could be, has America ever been great? I suppose that could be answered from a lot of different perspectives, right? You could look at money, military, rights and privileges, freedoms, economic structures, healthcare, college. You could look at all sorts of stuff, right? And I think once you start broadening the net to answer that question, it's not so obvious that America was ever great. Like, I can't think of a period, like, a 20-year period, 10-year period, even a 5-year period, if I'm being generous, where everything was just fine in America. I don't think it's ever gone more than like 20 or 25 years without a war. But maybe that's part of its greatness in some people's minds. I don't know. I've never gotten a good answer to that. Like when people say, America's number one. My question is, in what? What's America number one in? Now, I did actually attempt to find an answer to that. The first thing that most articles point to is that America is the richest country in the world, but I don't even think that's true. Saudi Arabia makes more money than America does, and it's possible China does too. So I don't know. I don't think there's a clear answer on that one. But okay, let's say there was the most money. America had the most money. All right, would that make it great? Would that alone make it great? Because it's not like that money is spread out amongst everybody. There's a huge income disparity in America. I think it used to be that the gap between the janitor and the CEO was like a factor of 12. Like the CEOs used to make 12 times more than a janitor. Now I think it's like 400 times more. It's kind of wild. Plus there's a huge part of the population that is homeless, that is, well, maybe not huge. That's the wrong word. I think it's something like 500,000 people, but that seems crazy. If there's so much money, why is anyone homeless? Why is anyone hungry? How is it that people are choosing between insulin and food? Seems like, if you're going to make a claim that America's great, wouldn't these things have been taken care of a long time ago? But they haven't been. Here's a weird statistic. America is the most dangerous country, I believe, in the developed world. So out of the 59 developed countries, America is the most dangerous place for a woman to have a child. That's unbelievable, but it's true. And is that because of the healthcare system? It's a for-profit system, the only developed country in the world that doesn't have universal healthcare. And if anyone is skeptical about universal healthcare, I've spoken to a number of people from all over the world who have universal healthcare. And there are complaints about universal healthcare. No one has ever claimed that it's perfect, but no one has ever said that they wanted to get rid of it, right? So if it was so bad where it existed, people would want to get rid of it, but they don't, right? So that I think is significant. So it's the most dangerous place. We don't have health care taken care of. We don't have college taken care of. And I'm saying we, America, right? America, again, the only developed country in the world where you don't get college paid for. I believe it's the only country in the world where your education is predicated on how much taxes you pay. That's bizarre. There's so much drug use, so much depression. So again, if we're trying to make America great again, I'm not trying to, but, if that's part of the conversation, make America great again, then when was it great? What period are you referring to where America was great? It's obviously not always been great, because if you're trying to make it great again, it's not great now, right? And I'm not saying that. I'm just going by the grammar that people are using. Make America great again means it's not great now, and you're trying to return it to a previous state. And I don't know what that state is. And again, I'm not saying America is a terrible country. I just don't buy into the propaganda that it's the best country in the world at everything. Even freedom. Oh, it's the land of the free, but oddly enough, America has more people per capita in prison than any other country in the world. So that's a higher percentage of its population, adjusted for population size, than any other country in the world as prisoners. So, as Jim Jeffries pointed out one time, it's literally the least free country in the world. But, you go to political rallies or hear politicians talk or hear the average person on the street talk, and it's America's number one. I mean, are you talking about gun violence? It's definitely number one in that. It's kind of hard to put your finger on it, right? Like, there's a lot of potential in America. I think part of what the forefathers were trying to do was pretty interesting. But as Martin Luther King Jr. pointed out, that promise never really came to fruition. And I think America is really what it's always been. And one of the things I think of in order to say that is what James Madison wrote. A lot of historians refer to him as the chief architect of the Constitution, because apparently he contributed more to it than anybody else. And he was a very popular founding father. He was fourth president, served 2 terms. But this one thing he wrote, I think, is very telling. And it happened in 1787 in Philadelphia, when they had the convention. I think a lot of people refer to it as like the Constitutional Convention, although I think it had another name. But that's where, all the states got together and tried to figure out what's going to be, the economic model, what's going to be the laws of the land, all those things. And James Madison wrote something. I don't have it in front of me, but and I'll not remember the beautiful flowery language that he used, but he said that the role of the government should be to protect the wealthy from the poor. I think the way he said it was to protect the opulent few from the many other. What a lovely way to say such a horrible thing. But that's been exactly what's always gone on in America. I mean, look at the Supreme Court. I don't think there's ever been a, average citizen versus a large corporation where the average citizen won. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but it's so rare. The Supreme Court virtually always sides with the big company, And that's not surprising because, again, going back to what James Madison wrote, and considering the fact that it wasn't just like average people that came to America to settle a new country. It was mostly business owners. And so they shaped America in their own image, right? And it makes sense. If you're a business owner and you want to thrive and you have the opportunity to make the laws of the land, you'd make them in ways that benefit you. I mean, look at the tax code. There are millionaires that are paying less of an effective rate in taxes than someone making an average amount of money, like $40,000, $50,000 a year. That's bonkers. You know, you had, let's see, in 2022, I remember reading that in the second quarter of 2022, the 6 publicly traded oil companies in America made, I believe, $30 billion in profit. Not just revenue, but profit. And yet somehow they're on government subsidies. What's that about? Is that a function of greatness? It doesn't sound great. Sounds pretty awful. You know, we know that the IRS doesn't collect taxes from wealthy people. If you or I owe taxes, assuming that you're as average as I am, because I'm very average, if I owe taxes, they're coming after me. You know, but if, you know, somebody wealthy owes taxes, they're going to leave them alone. And again, that's the structure of the country. It's people that own businesses tell politicians what to vote, how to vote. You know, you might recall that Joe Biden introduced legislation for MBNA, making it so that people could not declare bankruptcy if they owed credit card debts. Yeah. I think that was in the 80s or 90s that he did that. So not my favorite politician, but whatever. He's doing an okay job as president. But that's another subject. But really, again, let's go back to the main idea, the main question. Is America great? If so, how? How's it great? What's so great about it? When 1 in 5 homes, 1 in 7 homes, something like that, is food insecure. Oof, that sounds horrible to me. How can that be? If America's so great, how can that be? How can 22 veterans be committing suicide every day? You know, and I don't pretend that I have answers to these questions, but I do wish more people would be honest about these questions and be willing to discuss these things. I'm not a particularly patriotic person. I think it was George Bernard Shaw said that patriotism is the belief that your country is better than all others simply because you were born there. And that seems like a frivolous reason to be proud of something. Oh, I was born here, so this must be the greatest country on earth. It's some weird ego thing, too, I think. But, you know, again, the question remains, is America great? If so, how? If you're trying to make America great again, it can't be great. And when you say again, what period in American history are you referring to? Because it's been a pretty bumpy ride since people got here. I mean, you can go back to 1492, and I can't think of an extended period of time. Again, I think in like 20-year increments, but even, you know, to make it easier, like pick a 5-year increment. When was there a 5-year increment? And again, I know America has had periods like after World War II. FDR started the New Deal, and that was the longest sustained growth in the American economy. It was the greatest period of growth in the American economy in American history. But that doesn't mean things were great for the majority of people. You know, you had Japanese internment, you had all these wars. There's racial violence. There's still whites only signs until the 60s. So obviously, even if you think there was a time that America was great, chances are it wasn't great for everybody. So, seems like an interesting idea. Make America great again. So I've asked a few people whenever they kind of talk about that, like, okay, what do you mean by that? What does that look like? How does that work? And I haven't gotten an answer. America's number one. All right, in what? In what? Oh, what, the military? All right. Yeah, biggest military. Bigger than the next 10 countries, and 8 of them are allies. So what's the point of that? I mean, it sounds like corporate welfare to me, or maybe a money laundering, not literally, but kind of. So, anyway, that was just a thought that I had. Hope it made sense, wasn't too rambling, but something to consider. Maybe the next time you hear someone say that, America's number one, or we want to make America great again, ask for specifics. I haven't been able to get any. Certainly none that made any sense or were based in fact, because that's an important caveat, right? Let's not have this be part of our imagination. Let's base it in fact. But no luck so far, so maybe you'll do better than I have so far. Anyway, that's it for now. Peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.